James Kaufman, World News Report today, August 4th, 2024. God bless you and yours, no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had Tropical Storm Debby form. It already has 65-mile-per-hour sustained winds, a minimum central pressure of only 992 millibars. It very well could make landfall as a hurricane at some point later today. Now we have two additional tropical storms and two disturbances to speak of as well. We have another disturbance with a 20% chance of formation right outside the Lesser Antilles, headed in towards the Lesser Antilles. Looks like south perhaps of Puerto Rico, of the Dominican Republic, perhaps over Jamaica again. I know they don't want any of that. And then in towards the Yucatan Peninsula, maybe into the Gulf of Mexico. This will probably increase in percentage of becoming a cyclone as it gets into warmer water, which is exactly where it's headed. Taking a look at the Pacific, we've got two tropical storms in play. A very strong tropical storm here, Carlota. We've been talking about it for several days. 65-mile-per-hour sustained winds, central pressure 994 millibars, almost a hurricane. Then we have Daniel, not so strong, but still a tropical storm. And we have 40-mile-per-hour sustained winds, minimal central pressure 1,006 millibars. Now we have a depression here. Depression number 5 has a 90% chance of formation. It's really hard to figure out which one they're talking about, if not both. But I think we have tropical depression here that already is turning into a tropical storm. That is going to be followed by another disturbance with a 90% chance of formation. Remember, Hawaii is located just off the map here at 20 degrees north latitude. We'll hope that none of these storms are heading that direction, although this one's headed directly west at 12 miles per hour, which would bring it right into Hawaii. Headed over to the National Weather Service's main map, we see that most of Florida is under a tornado watch in yellow. We also have some tornado warnings, i.e. tornadoes on the ground. We have hurricane warnings. We have tropical storm warnings in this area. We have storm surge warnings in this area. We have special marine warnings all up and down the coast. Many of the professionals think that this is going to cross over back into the Atlantic. We will look at the spaghetti models next, but Florida is currently a complete mess. All right, this is just the last few minutes of the storm. You can see the eye is right about here, and the bands are just nailing Orlando, Sarasota, especially Tampa here. And these bands are where the tornadoes are created. The direction of this storm, well, let's take a look. National Hurricane Center still has this moving north-northwest into the panhandle of Florida. This could be another tragedy for the Panama City, Florida area that's had so many. Let's take a look at the spaghetti models. But before we do that, this is the southeastern U.S. satellite radar view. You can see Florida is getting hammered, especially Tampa, Florida. And this is supposed to be moving north-northwest, right in perhaps to the Panama City area. They have some very warm waters in that area, which could attract the storm. I see 89 degrees here, 89 degrees here, about as hot as you'll see it in the Gulf currently. Although this looks very similar to what we just looked at, this is actually the Florida satellite radar view from MyFox Hurricane, the National Weather Service. And this just, well, shows us that the center of the storm is still offshore here, although the bands are nailing Tampa, very hard, Orlando, and the entire Gulf Coast, all the towns up and down the Gulf Coast, including the Panhandle up here, which is already being nailed. This is ugly, and it very well make landfall as a Category 1 or stronger hurricane. It's very close to being just that as we speak, and I'm sure it hasn't been flown over in some time. All right, here we have the actual National Hurricane Track. You can see it making landfall. Here's a Category 1. It could make landfall stronger than that. This is, well, very close to Tallahassee, just west of Tallahassee. You can see it crosses Florida quickly over Georgia into South Carolina and really stays onshore according to the National Hurricane Center, all the way through North Carolina and into Virginia. Wow. And does not become a low until it hits North Carolina. Now, I wish I could say the National Hurricane Center had it nailed, but these are all the spaghetti models from the different modeling agencies, and you can see that they go every which way but loose. One of them even takes it into New Orleans here. Several of them move it around for several days in the Florida area and the Georgia area. A lot of the models take it further into the U.S. than what we saw the National Hurricane Center's official model took it, which was along the coast here, maybe an exit into the Atlantic as it works its way through North Carolina. We'll have to wait and see about that. But none of this looks good for Florida and Georgia or South Carolina for that matter. This is the enhanced satellite view, and you can see how ugly this thing really is and how quick it's growing. You can see the moisture, and I'm almost positive that this is going to be a Category 1, probably a Category 2 hurricane moving into that 89-degree water. You can see the strengthening happening up on the Panhandle here, and Florida is in trouble for the rest of today and probably most of tomorrow as well. All right, heading over to Windy, we see the eye of that hurricane just off the coast here in the Gulf of Mexico. We also see the two tropical storms here and the two trying to form here. Let's see what the week does. This is Sunday, still today. It's like the, well, hurricane in the Gulf might make landfall at some point early tomorrow, Monday. This is Monday still, folks, and that is lingering right on the border of Georgia and Florida, but still situated in the Atlantic and the Gulf, which is feeding it moisture. Move into Tuesday here. You can see these storms are forming here. This one's dissipating. This one may make it to Hawaii, may go north of Hawaii, may dissipate. We can see that this one's moving so slow. We're into Tuesday and now Wednesday. And this is still affecting parts of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. It's not going to be moving anywhere fast, period. I'm going to run this through a little bit more and see what happens. This is Wednesday still hugging the coast. This is Windy's AI we're looking at currently. This is a really bad position because it maintains its strength over the Atlantic. Now it's going onshore. This is through Thursday into Friday, and it's just made its way into North Carolina on Friday. This is Friday. Unbelievably slow-moving storm. At that point, it may or may not make its way out to the Atlantic again or dissipate in the central part of the U.S. With that said, God bless you and yours. It's going to be a crazy week on the east coast of the U.S. If that's where you live, please go prepare right this moment with a full tank of gas and plenty of drinking water. You can never have enough. Please share, subscribe, and always remember that anything's possible in Bizarro World.